Geert, thanks for connecting. I would like to take the time during this video to discuss another question that we received from one of the participants.
Yes.
And the question states how to deal with repairing or replacing an existing item within the context of the PED. So let's say we have a plant, you're an operator at the plant or a maintenance engineer, and a certain part of a vessel, for example, one of the safety valves, for example, needs to be replaced.
Yeah.
What does that mean in terms of the PED? Does that mean that the does the manufacturer or original manufacturer needs to be involved? Is the declaration of conformity still valid? Can you maybe elaborate on that?
Yeah, that's possible, Luke. If you look at repair or replacement of an existing pressure equipment, there are two options, of course, because this pressure equipment can be designed and manufactured and erected under the PED. So the PED is actually for new pressure equipment. So you will close your project as soon as the pressure equipment is installed, and
Right.
that means that afterwards, if there is a problem with your pressure equipment and you have to repair it, or you have to replace some parts of the pressure equipment, it actually has nothing to do with the PED, because the PED is only for new equipment. So in that case, you have in every country, in every member state of the European Union, you will have national legislation for repair or replacement. There are some exceptions if you have this complex installation for instance, heat recovery steam generator consisting of many pressure vessels, pipelines, steam drums, etc.
Right.
And you decide to replace a complete steam drum, for instance. In that case, you can look at it as if it is put into the market again. So you have to CE mark that. Not only CE mark, of course, but you have to make a declaration of conformity, and you have to redesign and remanufacture the parts of the steam drum.
Yeah.
In that case, that part will be under the pressure equipment directive, and of course, you will have contact with your notified body about this replacement.
Yeah. So in the specific example, replacing, for example, a valve which is part of a bigger pressure vessel,
Yeah.
then the new valve, since that is a new item, does that need to? I guess that needs to be in accordance with the PED. Is that correct?
No, that's not correct. I think that can be considered as a repair of a part of your piping system. And as long as the functionality of the piping system is not changed, then you can repair that part of your pipeline, for instance. What you have to do is to make a repair plan, and you must not go to the notified body, but you have bodies in, for instance, in the Netherlands, but also in other member states, saying what you have to do during this repair or this replacement, which is not falling under the pressure equipment directive.
Right.
Normally, you go back to the original design code that the manufacturer has used, and you will make this repair plan. Maybe you have to make some calculations again, stress calculations. Maybe you have to make new drawings of the repair or replacements.
Yeah.
But that's it. It's not falling under the PD or the um, the pressure equipment directive. Um, no, that's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So you don't need to have like the whole system according to the PED if you do a repair on a certain item.
No.
Does that mean that the original declaration of conformity, let's again take a pressure vessel,
Mhm.
and a small item on that pressure vessel is for example being replaced.
Yeah.
Um, does that mean that the original declaration of conformity is not valid anymore? Let's say somebody,
No,
let's
no,
say,
no. The creation of conformity is done by the original manufacturer at the end of the project, after the CE marking of the equipment and the hydrostatic test of the equipment.
yeah,
And they give this declaration of conformity to their client, to the user of the installations, for instance.
yeah,
And they have to keep that declaration of conformity in the documentation system. Um, and that's it, actually. So it has nothing to do with eventually replacing or repairing some parts of this pressure
yeah.
equipment. Yeah. One
All
thing
right,
I want to add is that if you're talking about a valve, for instance, that you replace, uh, normally if you have a new project, this valve needs CE marking due to
right.
the pressure equipment directive. But you also have to know that a valve has a hand wheel or some closing mechanism or openings mechanism, which makes it a machine. There are some parts that can move, so it's also a machine. And as you
Right.
know, there's also the directive on machinery, uh, which also says that you have, if you put this machine or this valve into the market, you have to
Yeah,
CE market it according the machinery directive.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. All right. So that is one of the examples in which a product needs to be, manufactured in accordance to multiple directives, basically.
yeah, that's right. Yeah,
So, so going back to the statement you just, the thing we just discussed about, the declaration of conformity is provided, upon installation, hydro test, and then let's say, I'm just thinking out loud, but I can imagine that could bring up a lot of discussions. Let's say a year later, something is being replaced,
yeah,
and again a year later, something breaks down, right?
yeah,
Um, then I can imagine, since typically the declaration of conformity is a statement that it's in accordance to the PED, and the
yeah,
manufacturer is willing to take responsibility for that.
yeah.
But once repairs are being done, that can fuel a lot of discussion afterwards if something breaks down, I can imagine.
Yeah. But I also think that there will be guarantee that the service organization that is repairing or replacing uh, the some parts of the pressure equipment do it very well. So it's
Yeah,
not that just this service company is doing it. There is also not a notified body, but another body in the member state where the repairs have been done,
yeah,
is looking at the repair plan and is also making visits to look that the repair is well done. So
yeah, yeah.
yeah, it's of course it's possible that after a year or 2 years there will be problems again, but shit happens.
Yeah, 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 exactly. All right, all right. So Geert, thanks again for providing the detailed explanations.
Yes, thank you, Luke.